Diane Kimball Wilcuts. This is my elevator pitch on the science of reading. Take two. I am happy to be taking the elevator with my student special ed teacher, K-3 teacher, principal, reading specialist, and director of special education. We all have our Starbucks with us on our way to an IEP meeting, so we're in a pretty good mood. K-3 teacher, Diane, you need to know Charlie is doing so well in reading in third grade. He has gone from a level 3 on the DRA to a level 18. Diane, it sounds like you're saying he's now at the end of first grade level. That's very concerning. I know Charlie loves you as a teacher, and you have been wonderful with him by agreeing to have his family read aloud to him at home rather than having him try to read books that he can't decode. But his family is really concerned that he hasn't made the kind of progress that he needs to. Um, I'll save you from my soapbox pitch about why the DRA isn't a valid measure of reading because you've heard it a gazillion times. So did you have a chance to do dibbles with him? I love that it takes only a minute to do. Reading specialist. I do dibbles weekly as part of the tier 2 intervention I do with him. He is currently scoring at the first percentile on the ORF, but when I read with him, he clearly understands what he is reading, so fluency is not impacting his comprehension. Diane, except as we have discussed, there is no peer-reviewed research that tells us the DRA is a valid measure of reading. The dibbles is supported by peer-reviewed research. Regarding his comprehension, is he reading stories with pictures? Reading specialist. Of course, and since we know each other so well, I know you are going to ask whether we started with a picture walk, and the answer is yes. That's just good teaching. I am not going to argue with you about that again. Diane, I've been reading a lot lately about the science of reading. Principal, perfect. We use the science of reading curriculum in our school. Diane, I know there's a lot of confusion about that. The science of reading is not a curriculum per se, but is about 80 years of research telling us exactly how to teach 95% or more of our students to read. It's so interesting as this comes not only from education researchers, but from neuroscientists, psychologists, communication scientists, linguists. Principal, there's a lot of reading research supporting the program we use by Lucy Calkins. Diane, that's the interesting part, is I learned that the science of reading refers to peer-reviewed published research. I know that some publishers of reading programs say their curricula are evidence-based, and some even include unpublished white papers or case studies on their websites, but that's not experimental design or quasi-experimental design, and it's not published in a peer-reviewed journal. Structured literacy is systematic, sequential, direct, and explicit, and decades of published research tells us that this is what works to teach nearly every student to read well. Principal, oh, you must be talking about phonics again. Units of Study does teach phonics, but it teaches comprehension and developing a love of reading. Structured literacy is boring. We would never use that. Special ed teacher. Actually, I took a class in structured literacy as part of my undergraduate special education degree, and it's actually very interesting. It does teach phonemic awareness, phonics, comprehension, vocabulary, and fluency, but it can be done in a fun way. It just has to be done explicitly and systematically. I've started using it with my students with dyslexia. Principal, Ms. Wilcuts, see, structured literacy is for students with dyslexia. If Charlie has dyslexia, we will provide him with structured literacy. Diane, that is what is so cool. All students benefit from structured literacy. Director of Special Education. Diane, at the IEP meeting, we will focus on Charlie, not on all students. I appreciate your passion about this, and I suspect I know where you're going with this. Just so you know, I've assigned several special education teachers to take the OG subscriber course, 2 full days of training, just to help students like Charlie. I took it myself last summer. Ms. Smith, our special ed teacher here with the caramel macchiato, also took the course last summer. Diane, it is great the district is working to provide staff, teachers, and administrators with an understanding of structured literacy. I took the subscriber course too, and it helped me with with understanding why so many reading programs aren't working with so many children. Are you also providing your teachers with the program of study and supervised practicum in Norton Gillingham? My understanding is that it can take a year or 2 to complete the associate's level, but it is totally worth it. Director of Special Education. We do have a couple of OG certified instructors in district. We can discuss this more at the IEP meeting. Wow, did you finish your coffee already?